Hello, good morning. My name is Praise Forward. Welcome to PFthinks, episode 19. Now, for some time, we've been looking at superior relationship skills, and I've been talking about the 8 lines of work. So far, we've looked at your relationship with your upline, which is your relationship with your mentors, your leaders, your line managers, and the rules of engagement to effectively relating with them. We've looked at your relationship with your downline, who are your subordinates. We've looked at your peer line. Yesterday, we looked at your relationship with the customer, right? Now, today, we were supposed to look at your relationship with the outline, which is your relationship with the competitor. But being a Sunday, I want to take a pause a little bit and quickly address an issue that has been bothering my mind. Now, COVID-19 is here, and it's no longer news that the whole world is going to change. If you look around the world right now, you will see that a lot of downsizing is going on. You will see, good morning, everyone. Good morning, John. You will see that, banks are laying off people already, but not just banks. The airline are in trouble. The aviation sector is deeply troubled, and Virgin is laying off people, British Airways is laying off people, all kinds of airlines are laying off people. So there's going to be a lot of crisis, and a whole lot of people are going to look for solutions anywhere they can find solutions. Now, it should occur to anyone right now that survival will be key. What it means is any movement that can take care of people's core need is a movement that they will follow now. That is any movement that is sensitive to understand what people are going through and reaching out to their core needs is the movement that they will take as the movement that loves them. If you already been monitoring the cheese like I have been in the last 6 years, I think it was yesterday I was sharing it that one of the people I respect so much, I had invited me over to address all their pastors. It was a church about 4 years ago, and not correctly called what was going to happen or what is happening right now. And so he was saying to me, he said, Praise, the only reason we did not really listen to you then was because you did not say, "Thus says the Spirit of God," or you did not shake or speak in tongues when you predicted these things. They said if you had said, "Thus saith the Spirit of the Lord," people would have called you a prophet by now. So I laughed because I said to him, it's never my style to say God said, right? Even though I hear a lot of things, but it's not my style because I think it intimidates people and makes it impossible for them to question what you have said. Now, where I am going is this. There's been a lot of clamor, a lot of challenges, a lot of fights, over Bill Gates being Antichrist. Bill Gates is this, he wants to depopulate hellfire, populate. No. He wants to depopulate Earth. Forgive me. And a lot of people are propagating that, and the people who are propagating this the most are religious people and religious leaders. Now, so the question we should find out is, what exactly are they afraid of? If a guy who doesn't have any political office, he's never contested any election, he doesn't hold any congregation, he doesn't have any religious organization. Every movement that owns the mind and controls the mind of people, he doesn't own a TV station, he doesn't he's not a leader of a country, he's not a king, he doesn't have army, he doesn't have constitution, he doesn't have police, he doesn't have any of these things. If that guy suddenly has become the most powerful person in the world, that we have attributed so much power to him, right, in a way that we believe, or people believe, that he can actually depopulate Earth, then we all should cover our eyes, right, and go and cry because something is wrong with our thinking, right? So it means that this guy has become more powerful than all the presidents of the world. He's become more powerful than all their armies. He's become more powerful than all the lawyers and all the judges, that he can grow himself to a level that has become one of the most influential, if not the most influential person on earth today. Then maybe we need to study this guy more. and find out what exactly does he know that we need to know. I mean, and I was sharing with a couple of friends yesterday that if Bill Gates has become this powerful, then maybe people need to begin to study him, because he grew up the way we grew up. There was no extraordinary power to him. So if all the people claim they have power, Bill Gates suddenly has become more powerful and more influential than all of them, then something is fundamentally wrong. Maybe it's high time we began to study Bill Gates himself and forget about every other person trying to teach us something. Because how can someone suddenly grow who doesn't have any of those things that we should say, oh, this is why people are powerful, and suddenly become someone who is a factor in every matter? Now, I was sharing with a couple of people yesterday that maybe if Jesus were to be alive right now in our age and time, he would have been like Bill Gates. His influence would have been that powerful, and we would have stoned him to death. Because a lot of people follow Jesus. Today is Sunday, so I'm intentional about what I'm sharing today. They think that they would have followed Jesus, or they would have served him, or they would have called him master if he were to live in our days and time. The answer is no. We will not have followed him. You know why? Because everything Jesus exhibited, everything he demonstrated when he was here on this planet, contradicted everything that stands for religion. This guy will not attend synagogue. This guy will move around with people. This guy will stay with tax collectors. He will stay with prostitutes. This guy, on a Sunday, on a Sabbath day, will be leading his people to be eating corn inside the corn, farm, something that violates Sabbath, right? And he was called a rule breaker. He was a trespasser. Jesus was a maverick, right? He didn't follow the conventional wisdom. He didn't follow the conventional knowledge. So how could people have thought that, Jesus will, they will serve Jesus, that they will follow him? Exactly why they killed him was because he was spoiling business for religious leaders, because this guy did not follow the conventional wisdom of people, conventional wisdom of men. He was literally messing their business up. That was emptying the synagogue, and people were following him. What this is saying is this: post-COVID, any movement that cannot produce visible result is going to lose relevance. People are not just going to follow you because they have always followed. People are asking questions that human beings should ask. The hunger in them is making them ask questions that they should have asked in the first place. The pain they are feeling, the loss of their jobs, the lack of direction is making people ask questions that human beings should ask. And those questions will require human answers. If they will begin to ask questions like, why were we sacked despite the fact that we serve God? Why are we being sacked? Why are we poor despite the fact that we have sown seed? Why are we poor? Because having done everything they asked us to do, having prayed, having fasted, having sown seed, everything they told us we needed to do for prosperity to come, how come we have done everything? I'm sorry, light might go off any moment from now, but don't worry, right? I'll keep this up right till I finish it. Now, having done everything we ought to have done, why is our life so difficult? How come our children don't have the things they've been promised? How come we can't pay our house rent? These are the questions they're going to be asking. Now, any movement at all, listen to me and listen good, right? Your past reputation will no longer count in the future we're talking about. The fact that we've been able to hold people bound, hold them to attend meetings, is no longer going to count. What will count in the future is how well what you are teaching is practicable and can resolve their critical problem. If they have hunger problem and you are laying of hands, it will no longer work because they need physical food, right? If what they need is shelter and you are doing anointing oil, it's no longer going to work, except that anointing oil can produce shelter almost immediately. So we need to understand that the cheese is moving. Any movement that cannot deliver on promise in the future is going to lose relevance. So anything at all, or any movement at all that can deliver the result they truly seek, which is why you will notice that there are some guys that you will never, in your wildest of imagination, have classified as men of God or as pastors, but they have huge followership. The question should be, why do they have huge followership? Everybody knows that this person is fake, but people are following him. Why are people following him? The person, even though in his seemingly insanity, is meeting a critical need, maybe the need for excitement, the need for food, shelter, which is the base level that a lot of people are in. The guy is meeting that and he's feeding their tummy, and if he's feeding their tummy, they will follow him. Anybody who feeds the tummy of a hungry people, naturally, at some point, they followed Jesus, and Jesus said, I know why you are following me, because I fed you yesterday. Because if a people is hungry, or if they need care, and someone cares for them, they will naturally follow that person. So it will no longer be preaching people happy, dancing around the pulpit, playing piano. Because if you check, the most important thing that carried money away are the things that are no longer relevant this season, right? An average religious movement spends a lot of money on building, a lot of money on sound, a lot of money on AC, a lot of money on ambience. These were the things that took majority of the money, that prevented us from taking care of people practically. Now, you realize that COVID is here. The auditoriums are not working. The ACs are not working. The sound system is not working. The critical departments that will say, oh, these are the departments that takes a lot of money. Choir, protocol, multimedia. These units are not working this period. Now, that should tell us that we can actually serve God without all of these things. Now, imagine if those funds had been deployed in the direction of people. Now, listen to me. Anything at all that meets the corners of the people and solve their problems is what they're going to follow. So it's not enough for you as a pastor, if you're listening to this, to get your media people to begin to live stream whatever you are doing. Live streaming is one. What you are live streaming is another ballgame entirely. If you are live streaming what you used to do way back before COVID, you would soon find out that people no longer want to consume that. The question is this. So let's say on a Sunday service, on a Sunday, right? A pastor wants to run a service, right? And the people are hungry, right? And there is someone else who at the same time is offering free food to the people. What service do you think they are going to attend? Where do you think they're going to go? They will literally abandon, no matter the emotional attachment they have for their pastor, because they are hungry, they will follow the person who is offering food. So people need to understand that it's values that will count post-COVID, no longer emotion. It's no longer, I have 1,000 or 10,000 people who attend my service. No. And Events Online is already showing us that maybe something is going wrong somewhere. So people used to have 30,000 followers. They just realized that the people who plug in to their online services are less than 1,000, right? That is sending a signal to us that people are looking for what counts. People are looking for something that can deliver them immediately. So if someone comes and say, if I teach you this, you will get a job tomorrow morning, or if I teach you this, you'll begin to feed your family by next tomorrow, people will follow that person. They will no longer follow someone who is teaching eschatology, teaching revelation that they cannot convert. Anything being taught that is not convertible, that is not measurable, will not count going forward. So smell the cheese. Today is Sunday. If you're a pastor, you need to intentionally check what you're teaching right now. You need to begin to check your values delivery. To whom much is given, much is expected. If a lot of funds have gone in your direction and you cannot extend the same hands of fellowship to the people at this point in time, you need to understand that the reputation of the past will no longer count in the future. I'm sounding warning right now because it's going to happen. If you check, there are so many platforms building up, because once a change of paradigm effect happens around the world, everything resets itself to zero. This is not the first time we are here. Now, people will begin to ask critical questions. New platforms are going to emerge. And if those platforms can solve people's critical problem, if those platforms can pass the test of effectiveness, potency, value delivery, people will follow those platforms. If you have noticed, the biggest platform this season in COVID are giveaway platforms. Platforms that are giving people money, that are donating people money. I just stumbled on a guy called Wole Agba yesterday, and I realized I was donating money. Now, by donating money yesterday, I just noticed that the people watching him on Insta Live were over 1,000 thereabout. Now, if you check Arole, you will find out that people that are watching him, sometimes they are in 500, 600, 700, 800. These are guys that naturally will look for places to perform pre-COVID. Now, during COVID, they have more people, and even leaders are coming on their platform. That's to tell you that power is changing, and because what people are looking for is changing. Now, if what people are looking for is changing, you cannot afford to remain the same. If you go and watch Who Moved My Cheese, you will realize that the person who decided to stick with the past, who wanted what has been in the past, lost out totally. The custodians of God's last move are usually the enemy of God's new move. I'll take that again. The custodians of God's past move are usually the enemy of God's new move, because they are used to what they were used to in the past. So even when God has moved into the future, when God is creating new platform, new templates, new expressions, they can't understand it because they are so much in love with the past that they can't feature in the new future. Now, if you don't innovate, if you don't reinvent yourself to be able to take position in the new future and on the demands of this time and season, you would realize that you may lose relevance, you may still exist, but your number will shrink, the people that follow you will shrink. Then you begin to say, it's because people don't want to follow the truth. No, it's not that people don't want to follow the truth. It's simply the fact that their demands and their needs have changed, and you have not changed to time, right? You will understand the model of Jesus. That's the best model I've seen. He kept reinventing. He kept, delivering his messages using all kinds of, expressions. Sometimes allegory, sometimes proverbs, sometimes, storytelling. Sometimes he fraternized with the people. He identified with the people. He was totally different from the spiritual leaders or the religious leaders of his time, who were the high priests that people had no access to. People had access to him. People could sit with him. He could engage them in human discussion. He could speak to them in the language they understood, or the language they will understand. Don't worry, light has gone off, right? My inverter is gone off, but I'm here with you, right? He could speak to people in the language they understood. That was the Jesus, that's the Jesus that we all know. Now, if your movement has become like the religious leaders, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the scribe, right, where people don't have access to you, where you can't deliver, in the language of men or the language that people are used to, you will realize that in no time you may lose expression, you may lose value, and people will find whatever you are teaching too vague, too impractical. They can't deliver it. So if whatever you are offering cannot be measured or cannot be delivered in product and service, cannot be delivered in the life of the people in a way that it can change their life tomorrow morning, forget it. A man who is hungry cannot be learning eschatology. A man who has lost his job is not sure of how to pay school fees. You can't be telling that man, come and sow your last seed. He's not going to listen to you. If you tell him, God is moving, he wants to know, how can God move me to take me back to paid employment? Or how can God move me to start a business right now to feed my family? That is what he's going to be thinking about. So if you are not sensitive to the time to understand that maybe it's a time for you not to ask people to give to you or to give. It's a time to give back to the people. If you are not sensitive to that, you'd realize that people may turn against you, which is why my greatest fear this season is that people are going to turn against their leaders. They're going to turn against politicians. They're going to turn, because, you can see what is already happening in Kano. People are going to turn against their leaders. They're going to turn against religious leaders. And that's already happening, right? But it's not a time for you to be afraid. It's a time to deliver human solution to human problem. It's a time to speak the language of men to men. It's a time to reinvent yourself and take a position in the future where you can begin to teach practical things that can set people free, things that they can measure, things that they can go use tomorrow morning, and things that can deliver on what you have promised. Any movement that can pass the test of effectiveness, application, that can pass the test of potency is the movement people will gravitate towards. Let me shock you. Even if it is a stone, right, that someone brings up now and say, this stone, if you eat it on your head 3 times, it will produce food for you, and people eat it on their head 3 times and the stone produce food, people will gravitate towards that direction, because in crisis moment, emotion is not a factor. Whatsoever can solve people's problem. Imagine there is war, right, and someone says to you that Olumo Rock, if you can manage to find Olumo Rock and hide under Olumo Rock, no bullets can penetrate Olumo Rock, and there is war, and you have access to Olumo Rock, and someone else says, you know what, you don't enter Olumo Rock, come for prayer. If you come for prayer and we pray in the spirit for 24 hours, right? Yes, nothing will happen to you. Now, and you have seen people who are standing to pray and bullet is eating them, but bullet is not eating people who are entering Olumo Rock. What do you think you're going to do? Common sense will instruct you that go and run inside Olumo Rock and begin to pray there. That is the state people are right now. And that is what they are demanding for. That, hey, everything you have taught us, what is the applicability and practicality of everything you've taught? That's what we are looking for this season. So whatever can deliver the people, and I'm saying this sounding a note of warning because this is going to happen. Whatever people can find that can move them in the direction of their core need is what they're going to follow this period. So don't bully them. Don't think that they are living their faith. No, faith must be able to deliver result. Jesus said, if you have faith that can move mountain, if you have the faith like a mustard seed, you will command this mountain to move. He did not just teach it, he practically demonstrated it. So the same way, whatsoever, whether you're a therapist, whether you're a solution provider, even if you are offering products and service, if your product cannot deliver on promise this period, forget it. People are going to leave you. If whatever you are teaching cannot deliver the results that people are looking for, people are going to leave you. It's no longer about emotion. Crisis moment is about logic. It's not emotion. So guys, whatever you have held on to the past may no longer be relevant in the future. Maybe this is a season to actually step aside and reevaluate everything you have done. Evaluate your systems, evaluate your template, evaluate everything we have done, and ask yourself, have we actually done well? Based on the resources that has been deployed to us, have we actually delivered the best of results for these people? If we have not delivered the best of results, maybe it's time to begin to make our ways right and begin to check the model that Jesus brought once again to say, if we benchmark our model against Jesus, if you look at what he said, I was sick, right? You visited me. You helped me out. I was in prison. You visited me. I was hungry. You fed me. He didn't say you prayed for me. That was Jesus talking. He said, I was naked. You clothed me. He didn't say you anointed me, right? And they asked him, Master, when did we do this? And he said, as long as you have done it to my people, then you have done it for me. So what he's saying is, it's no longer a time to solve hunger problem with anointing oil. It's not going to work. I was hungry, you fed me, which means people need food, you got to feed them. I was in prison, you visited me. He did not try to solve prison problem, with prayer. No, he visited. He was present there. He said, I was sick. And you took me in and you treated me, right? That if people are sick, it's time to minister to their need by paying their hospital bill. He says, I was naked. He didn't say I was naked and you fasted for me. No, you clothed me. So which means people need physical solution to physical problem. Then spiritual solution to spiritual problem, right? We cannot be administering spiritual solution to a physical problem. If people need loan right now, we may need to extend some loan, maybe 0% interest or 1% interest loan for them to start whatever business they want to start. And maybe it's a time to stand in for the people and practically show that we truly care. Let me say this again. Whatever movement, whatever model care for people this period of crisis is the movement they'll be loyal to going forward. The question is, are you willing to change whatever you have always done? Are you willing to migrate your template from the past to take a position in the future? This is my challenge for you. Well, I won't call it a prophecy, but if you activate your thinking and activate your observation skills, you will begin to see this happen right now, because you can already see that the movements that did not move with the internet age, right? They realize that they can't even reach their people anymore, right? So it's important for people to understand that these are new movements, these are new platforms, these are new seasons, and things are going to change. I have seen a lot of people say to me, oh, we are waiting for things to return back to normal. Things are not going to return back to normal. We are not even sure if the airspace will be open again this year. Things are not going to return to normal. A new world is going to evolve. New rules of engagement will emerge. And you need to reinvent yourself, innovate, and take position in the future. I hope I have helped you today. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone who has joined. I know you can't see me right now because my inverter just went off. We've not had power, since yesterday. But I know you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow, God's willing, and we'll continue our discussion on the 8 lines of work, where we'll talk about rules of engagement with the outline, which is your relationship with the competitors. Till then, Thank you. God bless you. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.